Thomas in trouble. There's a line to a quarry at the end of Thomas's branch. It goes for some distance along the road. Thomas was always very careful here in case anyone was coming. Peep, a beep, he whistled. Then the people got out of the way, and he puffed slowly along with his freight cars rumbling behind him. Early one morning, there was no one on the road, but a large policeman was sitting on the grass close to the line. He was shaking a stone from his boot. Thomas liked policemen. He had been a great friend of the constable who used to live in the village, but he had just retired. Thomas expected that the new constable would be friendly too. Beep beep, he whistled. Good morning. The policeman jumped and dropped his boot. He scrambled off and hopped around on one leg till he was facing Thomas. Thomas was very sorry to see that he didn't look friendly at all. He was red in the face and very cross. The policeman wobbled about, trying to keep his balance. Disgraceful, he spluttered. I didn't sleep a wink last night. It was so quiet, now engines suddenly come whistling behind me. My first day in the country, too. He picked up his boot and hopped over to Thomas. I'm sorry, sir, said Thomas. I only said good morning. The policeman grunted and leaning against Thomas's buffer. He put his boot on. He drew himself up and pointed to Thomas. Where's your cowcatcher? He asked unconsciously. But I don't catch cow, sir. Don't be funny, snapped the policeman. He looked at Thomas's wheels. No side plates either, and he wrote in his notebook. Engines going on public roads must have their wheels covered and a cowcatcher in front. You haven't, so you are dangerous to the public. Rubbish, said his driver. We've been along here hundreds of times and never had an accident. That makes it worse, the policeman answered. He wrote regular law burner's book. Thomas puffed away sadly. So Topham Hatt was having breakfast. He was eating toast and marmalade. He had the newspaper open in front of him, and his wife had just given him some more coffee. The butler knocked and came in. Excuse me, sir, you are wanted on the telephone. Bother that telephone, said Sir Topham Hatt. I'm sorry, my dear, he said a few minutes later. Thomas is in trouble with the police, and I must go at once. He gulped down his coffee and hurried from the room. At the junction, Thomas's driver told Sir Topham Hatt what had happened. Dangerous to the public, indeed. We'll see about that. And he climbed greenly into Annie, the coach. The policeman was on the platform at the other end. Sir Topham Hatt spoke to him at once, and a crowd gathered to listen. Other policemen came to see what was happening, and Sir Topham Hatt argued with them too. But it was no good. The law is the law, they said, and we can't change it. Sir Topham Hatt felt exhausted. He mopped his face. I'm sorry, driver, he said. It's no use arguing with the policemen. We will have to make those cowcatcher things for Thomas, I suppose. Everyone will laugh, sir, said Thomas sadly. They'll say I look like a tram. Sir Topham Hatt starred. Then he laughed. Well done, Thomas. Why didn't I think of it before? We want a tram engine. While I was on my holiday, I met a nice little engine called Toby. He hasn't enough work to do and needs a change. I'll write to his controller at once. A few days later, Toby arrived. That's a good engine, said Sir Topham Hatt. I see you brought Henrietta. You don't mind, do you, sir? Asked Toby anxiously. The station master wanted to use her as a hen house, and that would never do. No, indeed, said Sir Topham Hatt gravely. We couldn't allow that. Toby made the freight cars behave even better than Thomas did. At first, Thomas was jealous, but he was so pleased when Toby rang his bell and made the policeman jump that they have been firm friends ever since. The end.